welcome back to another episode of the Dylbozer's Den. And today we're going to be going over the newest release from High on Fire, Cometh The Storm, released on Monarch Heavy. The reason we do the podcast is for bands like High on Fire. This is a band that has a long tenured history of releasing albums that are so full of riffs that it's overflowing. And this new release is no slouch. Again, the album has been 6 years in waiting since their last album, which is Electric Messiah, the Grammy award-winning Electric Messiah, released in 2018. But what I've noticed with this record is it does seem like a return to form, which is an interesting thing to say about a band like High on Fire, whose legacy is what it is. And what you get is when bands consistently put out records that are always considered good or always considered, hey, it's a great High on Fire record, it's a great Crowbar record. I think sometimes as fans, we sit back and go, oh, I know I'm getting a good High on Fire record, but I know it's not going to reinvent the wheel. This album's a little bit different. It seems like there's a renewed energy to the band, and maybe it was the gap of time. Maybe it was the new drummer,
Cody Willis,
formerly of the Melvins, and currently a Big Business as well. So he's no slouch when it comes to riff heavy bands, and he does add a little bit of renewed energy. That's not to say that Des Kinsel was any slouch or that he did anything wrong, but sometimes a member change can help. If you reference the podcast episode we did on High on Fire's Death Is This Communion, you'll realize that Jeff Matz added a renewed vigor and energy to the band and changed the band's tone. And his presence is felt all over this record. The band is working with Kurt Ballou yet again. This is his 4th overall album working with the band and 3rd overall for production. He did De Vermis Mysterious and Luminiferous from 2012 and 2015. He has full production credits on those two, and he did drum recording and production for Electric Messiah. Kurt Ballou's production is fantastic. He's kind of become the Scott Burns of like the stoner rock and kind of more DIY rock scene. And he knows his way out around a production. It's very natural sounding while still being modern. We all know his credits. We all know who he's done and what he's done. We also know his legacy with Converge. So he knows his way around heavy, heavy, heavy bands. And he seems to get really good performances out of the band. He definitely seems to work with them very well and mesh with them very well. It is also mastered by Alan Douches, who has done any and everything that you could even imagine. Just check out his credits online. Not only are you getting a sonically great sounding record with all of this, you also have a return of Eric Roper doing the album artwork. This is his first record he's done with the band for cover artwork since 2010 Snakes for the Divine. Again, we talked about his legendary artwork for the Death Is This Communion record. He was pretty well working hand in hand with the band, although they kind of stepped out and did some different artwork stylings throughout the last handful of records. None of the album artwork has ever been bad, but something about reconnecting with someone you built a legacy with early on in your career. I mean, this album artwork is no slouch. I mean, it's over here to my left, and it is just a fantastic, fantastic piece of art that plays into the way the record sounds. I mean, it's very Peter Pan-esque in view, but the album is no slouch. You open up the record with Lamb's Bread, which is just a blasting opening track of just renewed energy. I mean, you get it from the get-go. Burning Down, which is one of the singles released for the record, which has a little bit of controversy surrounding what the video is, and AI was used to create the video. The opening of that track makes me think of like a pile-on at a hardcore show. Like if you look at any of those old Hellfest videos or those Furnace Fest videos, this could have easily been played in that type of environment. What I really enjoy about High on Fire is their influences are worn on their sleeves. This sounds more like Black Sabbath being played through the scope of Celtic Frost and Bolt Thrower, whereas Sleep gets a little bit more critical acclaim as part of Matt Pike's lineage. What you get with Sleep is a little bit more of Black Sabbath played through the scope of like Psychedelia and Drone, whereas this just sounds like punk rock, early thrash, hardcore, even early death and grind. Like this is viscerally intense. Hopefully I can get this track title right, Trimagestus. This is one of my favorites off of the record. There's even some obituary-esque stuff in there, but that could be more so in vein with the Celtic Frost stuff, because it's no question that Obituary was influenced by Celtic Frost more so than some of the early death metal bands. Cometh The Storm, another single that dropped for the record. I think Jeff Matt's influence is felt all over this track, as we saw with the video. He is delving into some double neck bass/guitar stuff to add to it. This also has a great massive hook in it, which I don't think gets a lot of attention through High on Fire's career, is that Matt Pike is very prone to write good hooks. Cometh the Storm is no different. You then followed up with the instrumental track on the record, which is Kinda Like Y'all. God, I'm from the fucking South, so forgive me. Which is, again, a Middle Eastern sounding track, just full of instrumentation that helps break up the album slightly. We kick into the B-side of the record, and I love the B-side of this record more than I do the A-side. The B-side is like a punk and hardcore/thrash amalgamation that is just fucking perfect. I mean, the track titles, Saul's Golden Curse, The Beating, Tough Guy, Lightning Beard, Haunting Shadows, and Darker Fleece. All of those tracks are just perfect to me. There's not a missable track on there. Again, just sounds like punk and hardcore, all of Bad Brains. I'd even say some Minor Threat in there from these guys. Some of the early DC hardcore is definitely in there. Tough Guy just opens up with a mosh riff, and it even has almost like a two-step on there, and Pike is pissed on that thing. Lightning Beard, again, just a great track, just blistering, has huge drums all over it. Cody does a great job on this record. An outlier track for me, and again, probably one of my favorites on the record, is Haunting Shadows, which is like, I've never heard Matt Pike this melodic, ever. The entire track is melodic. It's him, singing with his kind of sailor voice throughout the whole track. It sounds like something off a classic rock radio. Sounds like this band could have had a big hit. If this track had probably been released around the time of, let's say, like a Mastodon's Blood Mountain, when MTV had a huge forefront, it's very likely that they would have become something of that size. But who knows? Bands release what they release when they release it, and you get the reception you do. The track definitely has like some Thin Lizzy classic rock vibes. And it's no stranger that, the band is influenced by Thin Lizzy, as they did a cover, I think, Vagabonds of the Western World. But then you end with Darker Fleece, which is just this pounding, droning, massive, huge track, thanks to that Kurt Ballou production. With all of the variety on this album, you could honestly listen to it as an A-side and a B-side, and it sounds like two different albums, which I love. It adds a renewed energy on the B-side. Maybe the front half is slammed with all of like the classic High on Fire stuff, just the kind of mid-tempo, just like head-nodding riffs, whereas the back half is visceral and just biting the entire time. And this is a great record. I loved it. I was really excited for this. You still get Matt Pike's blistering fucking solos all over this album. Jeff Matz is the MVP of many of these tracks. I do think when Jeff joined the band, Matt Pike found his perfect writing partner in all of this. Hopefully you guys enjoy the record. Reach out to us. Let us know if there's something you would like us to review in the future. Let me know if you enjoyed this album, if you hated it, if you hate me. Again, it's a great record. High on Fire never disappoints. Cometh the Storm.